Now it's turn on time for the Good morning, dear ladies and morning, afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. We are the affirmative team, and we agree with the resolution that the world would be better off without genetically modified foods. First, let me give you the definition of GMO. Genetically modified organisms can be defined as organisms, plants, animals, or microorganisms, in which the genetic material, the DNA, has been altered in a way that doesn't occur naturally by mating and or natural recombination. The technology is often called as modern biotechnology or gene technology, sometimes or genetic engineering. Food produced from or using GMO are often referred to as GM foods. Our main argument against the use of GMO in agriculture is that deliberate changes in natural evolutionary processes may have incalculable consequences for the ecosystem. To demonstrate our points, we are using information from the websites of World Health Organization and FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. The world would be better off without genetically modified food. When we're talking about the world in the resolution, we include all of the living organisms, not only human beings. Also for us, food is not only what humans eat, but we include fodder for animals too. First, our second speaker is going to talk in detail about the potential negative effects on the environment. For example, GM organisms might escape and potentially introduce the engineered genes into wide populations. Or the spread of GM plants can reduce the spectrum of other plants, including loss of biodiversity. Not to mention the fact that when we use GM in agriculture, might have a bad impact on non-target birds, insects, or microorganisms in the soil. Secondly, we are going to mention some potential negative effects for the human health, including allergies or the transfer of the antibiotic resistance. Finally, we will also highlight some potential socio-economic effects regarding the market dominance of a few powerful companies. In order to give a practical example, we are about to demonstrate our points and which of these negative effects make Hungary to reject the GMO. Hungary was the first country in Europe to say no to GMO in 2006 in a parliamentary decision supported by all of the 5 parties. Governmental searches and Greenpeace in Hungary usually highlight the risks of GMO can pose to environment and human health. So we as Hungarians do agree with the resolution that the world would be better off without genetically modified food. Thank you for your attention, and I'm ready for your questions.
I want to ask you that haven't we been genetically modified food for thousands of years?
There were by the nature, of course, but now we do it very often, and it has incalculable consequences, and we just don't know what effects can it pose for human health and nature. Now it's turn time for the for the ending.
Can we take 1 minute? Honorable judges, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Nikos Kofopoulos, and on behalf of my team, I would like to welcome you to this debate. Now we, as today's opposition, we believe that genetically modified food, despite the public debate going on right now on the subject, can be of great importance for the world. I heard that in your definition you said that are natural. We disagree with that because we think that artificial made, not unnatural, genetically modified food. So I want to add to the definition some facts. First of all, it is well known that the humans have genetically modified plants and animals since the beginning of civilization. They did it through selective breeding and through natural reproduction. Look around you, the sweet corn and seedless watermelons at the markets. Modern techniques by introducing gene promise innovative solutions to many real-world problems. Secondly, before the genetically modified food entered the market, a pre-market authorization and a post-market, post-environmental monitoring are necessary. This assessment must show that the feed or food is safe for human and animal health, and the environment under its intended condition of use. Specifically, the European Union has established a legal framework to ensure that the development of GMOs takes place in safe conditions. We, the negative team, are supporting the use of GM, and we have structured our case as it follows. I will be talking about the environmental benefits. Our second speaker will continue with the benefits of each one of the consumers in both developed and developing countries. And our third speaker will support our position with some interesting facts. Let me come to my first argument. GM crops have had a profound benefit to the environment. They have enabled farmers to use safer and more environmentally friendly chemicals, release less carbon, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. As it's practiced today, agriculture damages the environment more than any other human activity. Genetically engineered crops will ease that negative impact. However, we absolutely believe that focusing on pesticides or to the harm to some pillars is a single-minded obsession. And we miss the big picture, which is far more serious ecological challenges. I encourage you to think, what happens with the water use and irrigation? What happens with the excess nitrogen and phosphorus in traditional agriculture? And what is more, can we forget land use, especially tropical deforestation, and greenhouse gas? Next, GM technology has the answers. Next generation seeds will allow farmers to maintain high yields while using less water and chemical fertilizers. Climate change will make much of the world's arable lands difficult to farm, so in that case GM are the answer because it can grow in dry and salt lands and withstand high and low temperatures. Potential problems of GM crops as super weeds or super pests, maybe to the extent that these dangers are real, they can be managed and prevented. Also, farmers can create buffer zones with conventional crops around the GM fields, so they can give harmful insects something to feed on. Buffer zones would also deter cross-pollination and provide a refuge for harmless insects to feed on. For all these reasons, we think that science can find solutions for potential problems such as cross-pollination and herbicide-resistant genes, etc. The important thing is to deal with the huge environmental problems that threatens humanity's future. So, thank you for your attention.
Okay. So, we started producing GM foods around 20 years ago, and we made a lot of products. For example, the golden rice, but we don't eat them or don't use them, and because we are afraid of the risk they can make. So why don't we put the money into researches which maybe surely, not maybe, surely make more profit or improve our life.
So the question is?
So why don't we put money into these researches? Because GMO is not in the mainstream.
Okay. I think I will take a minute to think. Okay. We put money or put money to GMOs because are necessary for us, because we all know that the population of the world is growing. So we have to find a solution to feed this population. And we don't think we think that with GMOs we don't only feed the increasing population, we defeat and deal with many environmental problems, such as greenhouse, the phenomenon of greenhouse, and the carbon emissions, which is very serious ecological problem. So we have to stay and put money into that, because it's very important not only for food but also in environmental gain. GMOs will increase the profit for little farmers also. They can unable to fight all the difficulties they face every day. Diseases, drought. It's very important to advance and develop this technology by engineering. So I think we covered.
Okay, thank you.
Now it's the German time for the meeting.
Good afternoon to everyone. In my speech, I'm going to highlight the negative effects of producing genetically modified food. And as Speaker Eva has mentioned, I am focusing on potential negative effects on the economy, the environment and human health with specific examples. First of all, let's talk about the environment. For instance, genes can end up in unexpected places. This means that GM and non-GM organisms might interact. Problems can arise if, for example, herbicide resistance genes got into weeds. Also, if we release transgenes to the environment, it will not be possible to recall them if they cause danger. You can't recall harmful DNA sequences just like companies can recall children's toys or cars for safety defects. Potential risk to non-target species such as birds, insects, and microorganisms is another important issue. Nobody quite knows the impact of the horizontal flow of GM pollen to bees' guts, or the effect of new gene sequences in plants to fungi and soil bacteria. Besides, it is feared that the widespread use of GM crops could lead to the development of resistance in insect population exposed to GM crops. One example is that in Indian cotton fields, resistance towards the insecticide Bt toxin also evolved the major cotton pest, the cotton bollworm and the pink bollworm. And this not only reduced the crop yield of GM cotton, but changed the biological characteristics of the bollworm too. What will we do if, thanks to the genetic modification, all the species will change their biological characteristics? Secondly, the direct dangers of GM food can be classified into two categories: the issues of allergy and the issue of gene transfer. It can happen in the laboratories that some allergenic genes are accidentally transferred to other plants which had not been allergenic. And they will cause dangerous reaction in people with allergies. For example, it happened in the USA that an allergic Brazilian nut were transferred into soybean. So if someone with nut allergy ate soybean, they could produce allergenic reactions. Although this soybean did not get into the market, scientists might miss such problems if GMOs become widespread. So it's not safe, as you mentioned before, because of the allergies. Also, gene transfer from GM food to cells of the body or to bacteria in the digestive system could be a problem if the transferred genetic material has a bad effect on human body. This would be particularly problematic if antibiotic resistance genes were transferred to humans, because then we will not be able to cure illnesses with antibiotics. Last but not least, biotechnology research is carried out mainly by the private sector. And there are concerns that that only big global companies like Monsanto, BASF and Syngenta will dominate the market in the agricultural sector. These companies earn a lot of money, while small-scale farmers have huge financial problems. And as you mentioned, they not earn profit. So the small-scale farmers have huge financial problems. And these companies focus on profit and money and don't care about the long-term ecological or health effects. All in all, genetic engineering is problematic because of its unpredictable impact on so many fields of life. Thank you, and I'm ready for your question.
You said that GMOs is there is a chance that it's dangerous.
Yeah.
But we know that GMO food is tested. So what do you have to say about that? In their go test and studies before they ready to sell to supermarkets.
So what was your question?
What you have to say about that? Because you say there is a chance that they are dangerous.
Yeah, because of the allergies. Because I said before that they accidentally transferred the Brazilian gene to soybean. So if someone with not allergy ate soybean, they could produce the allergic reactions.
Okay, I will take into consideration what you said, and I will think later.
Now it's the turn and time for
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Yannis Bouratis, and I feel lucky to participate in such an interesting and controversial debate and to have the chance to illustrate to all of you the unique benefits of the GM technology in the food industry. The second speaker of the affirmative presented to us all the economical, environmental and health risks that the GMO food poses. Really frightening for the average consumer to hear about all the problems that come with the production of this evil food. And all of this for what? Profit. Profit for the big biotech companies at the expense of the environment and humanity. What an oversimplified stereotype. It is impossible to be certain that anything in particular, or even GMOs, are safe, but all uncertainty is not created equal. The chance that GMOs pose a danger to human health is extraordinarily small. There have been thousands of independently founded and long-term studies, and almost every mainstream science organization has come down to the side of safety. One of the most compelling studies came out in October of 2014 when researchers from the University of California at Davis took a look on health data from over 100 billion animals that were exclusively fed with GM feed. And they found no effects. In fact, no effects at all. So, now when it comes to profit, patenting is actually necessary to foster the research and development of new beneficial products. Now we give a reason for researchers to try and improve on themselves and bring new seeds and new bioengineering techniques to improve the products that we will buy. And when it comes to what the second affirmative speaker said, that the small farmers can't afford these seeds, well, the GM technology promises to help these farmers. They have to cope with many and different dangers, natural dangers every day, like sudden frost, diseases, pests, and insects. The the genetically modified crops promise to make them forget everything about this, and they will be able to have a better income because they won't have to deal with all of these harsh economical drawbacks. So they will bring their products on the market at a lower cost, so will the consumers actually win. So right now I would like to present some of our most important arguments, so please pay attention. What would you do in the following situations? In situation number one, you are a family physician. You come across many children every day that suffer from infectious diseases that could easily be prevented through vaccination. But usually the parents of these children cannot afford these vaccines. You hear about a new revolutionary technique that would reduce the fraction of the cost to a part of what it is now. Eatable vaccines, vaccines that are inserted into fruits and vegetables. A child could be vaccinated just by eating a banana, and without even getting a shot. And now comes one counter-argument to what the second affirmative speaker said. With children not having as many infectious diseases, we wouldn't actually have to use so many antibiotics, so the antibiotic resistance would be actually decreased. Now, in the second situation, you are a leader of a developing nation. Hungary is one of the biggest problems among your citizens. Your salty wetlands cannot allow you to grow enough crops to feed everyone, and your slow economy can't support importing enough food for everyone, for every person. So a new biotech company has genetically engineered the rice plant that can thrive through water, giving you the opportunity to feed all of your citizens without completely butchering your economy. I am sure that we all understand the importance of these arguments. So now let's go to something different, but equally as important. The world's population is growing, and it's growing faster than we can handle it. It is estimated to reach 9.5 billion people on Earth by 2050, making food security one of the most important social issues for the next decades. The food production will have to be doubled or preferably tripled to meet the needs. So finally, these crops can be genetically modified to have enhanced level of nutrients. One example is golden rice, as the proposition said, which contains additional levels of A-carotene, a deficiency that over 15 million children worldwide under the age of 5 suffer from, which can cause early childhood blindness. I'm sure that we all agree that the world's prosperity actually outweighs the potential economical profits that some firms might have. There is a big challenge awaiting us. We will have to get through it using all of our scientific tools. Thank you very much for your attention.
Can you tell us who has profited the most so far with this GMO?
Okay, as I said, yes, the world would be a better place with GMOs. And the people who profit is everyone. The biotech companies profit by selling their seeds. The small farmers benefit from not having to deal with many problems such as the ones I said. And we, the consumers, win by having to buy products at a lower cost market. And as the third speaker will say, these farmers will actually benefit even more by this decision, having GMOs on Earth. Thank you.
Now it's the journal for creative.
Thank you. So, let me quickly summarize the main main points. So you said that GM foods.
Sorry, is it a question? Sorry.
Sorry?
Is it a question? I didn't...
No, I'm just speaking.
Sorry.
So you said GM foods are producing higher yields, but according to the World Bank's facts, it's not true, because it's not producing more yields. And you also said that the growing population's only solution is that the GM food, but we can produce more food without GMO technologies with an agriculture based on biodiversity. So, yeah, it's not that true. And you also said that there is a small amount of risk, but until there is a risk in GM technologies, I think, or we think, it's not worth risking our economy. So, quickly, I want to repeat our country's point of view. As we mentioned, Hungary was the first country in Europe in 2006 who said no to GMO. According to our constitution, everyone has the right to a healthy lifestyle, environment and food. They claim that the most valuable resource of Hungary is its rich soil, which could be damaged by GM crops. So, as the impact of GM plants to microorganisms in the soil is still unknown. So, in addition, plants producing their own insecticides kill non-target insects too, and endanger biodiversity. Regarding human health, we reject GMO to avoid the appearance of now allergenic proteins. And to sum up our main arguments, we have shown how many different negative effects result from the use of GMO in agriculture. These are only potential dangers, but as we said, it's not worth risking our environment, economy and health, especially if it's especially if at the same time we are forced to support global biotech companies whose only interest is to have more and more dollars. Thank you.
Finally, it's the time for the ending.
Ladies and gentlemen, at first let me introduce myself. I'm George Koudavas and I'm happy to take part in such a passionate debate. As the third speaker of the negative team of Greece, I will summarize the arguments that they prove from our point of view the value of genetically modified food in a high modern advantage world. We claim that genetically modified food doesn't involve any environmental or health risk. In fact, GMOs can help us to improve humans' health and cooperate with the war hunger. And just a quick test of the audience right now, how many of you know anyone who is a diabetic and takes insulin? Do you know that the insulin was the first GMO product ever been produced? Let me make a little more food related. How many of you eat cheese? Do you know that the first GMO product ever been approved was rennet? Rennet is an enzyme used to make cheese. Today 90% of the world cheese is based on GMOs. Our argument get a big boost from the science. An international study of German Federal Ministry of Development and Economy shows that genetically modified crops are good for their health and they can help to reduce the amount of pesticides used in agriculture. This study includes evidence from 1995 till the March of 2014 when were published in English. The studies also said that with this study we try to build trust between people and GMO products. Our second argument refers on public health. Genetically modified crops will leave the traditional crops in the dust. They will be more good for our health and for the environment. And what's more important, GMO crops will offer our best chance to adequately address the challenge of feeding the 5 billion estimated people. I must stress again that our arguments have not been refuted by the other side. Let me make an example of human hypocrisy. We often see how enraged people go to the supermarket and buy a genetically altered tomato, then they continue to buy commercially drugs, and then they eat at a fast food restaurant. That's a human hypocrisy. GMOs are the only tool we need. We need to continue to invest in plant breeding and organic farming. And of course, GMO products are not perfect. They need to be regulated and managed again like any other technology. We suggest logic and self-control. Let's avoid hysteria. Let's stick to the facts and determine the best for humanity, which is genetically modified food. Thank you.
That this debate was also very passionate and well, thrilling one and impressive also. Thank you very much for all of your speeches and the preparation and all the effort you put into this. And now I think the judges will convene and decide about the results. Thank you.
Now,
We can do it like we did in the previous.
now I think we should do the same in the morning.
Yeah.
And from tomorrow on,
Because she was putting the points as well, so. But it really wouldn't matter because if I would put the points, it would be the same comment.
Okay, so we do it like this. So it's 6 people. Yeah. So how should we? So, dear students, at this late hour, and after so much waiting, I will start my speech on behalf of the judges, with telling you the method that we followed as judges. What we did was we went through all of the speakers and we said all the positive and negative observations that we made about them, and we gave the individual points. And I think that I will not highlight all the positive and negative observations that we made because it would take us another hour. So to repeat all that we have said, so what I'm going to do is that I will shortly announce the winner, and after that Daiga has very useful observations regarding the debate, so I will share those with you. And if you are curious about the observations that we made about your individual speech, then you can consult me, and I will because I took notes. And I can show you the judge sheets, so I will tell you about those. And now comes the final decision. The judges decided that the Greek team won this debate with very nice individual points and very well prepared team was what we saw on stage. But the Hungarians have to know that they also got very nice points, and there are a lot of positive things that we highlighted, and so this is the result. And now I will share with you what Daiga thinks. She, as you know, she's a professional coach, debate coach. So the first thing that she said is that speakers in general should speak by using evidence and facts supported by sources all the time. It's not enough for one speaker to say that the sources of the whole team. All the teams should speak with showing evidence that you have actually read something and you have knowledge behind it. The second thing is that to rebut or to make your rebuttal, you as a speaker need material and background knowledge, so it's not enough to just know what you are saying, what your role is, but in order to have a good interaction, it's very important that you are very well informed. The third thing is that, and it's actually these observations are not just for you, it's for everyone who is ever going to debate, so it's, you don't personally, it's just that you're sitting in front of me, that's why I'm speaking to you. The third thing is that teamwork is very important because we have noticed that there wasn't much discussion between or among the team members now. So it's very important to form your strategy, to find the right question, to form it, or to express it the way it should be. And yes, so teamwork is important. That was the third thing. The fourth thing is an observation for the judges, but since everyone is going to be a judge one time, then it's important to know that we should set into stone that the direction the person is looking, I mean if the person is looking at the other team or if the person is looking to the audience, should never be as important as the evidence and the content that he's sharing. Okay, so if you are a judge, don't judge based on where the person is looking, listen to the evidence. And the fifth observation goes for teachers, but we actually sense the need for this because we know it from the beginning of this day that we really need to have one set of rules for this project because there are things, some rules that are not yet clear for all of the team members. So this was a very hard and long day. I think we have all learned a lot and we all thought a lot and all that. So I guess now we need to do some sports or arts or something to have our mind of this. But I would like to thank everyone for the very concentrated effort that you put into this day. The hosts to make it happen in a very nice environment. I would like to thank all the judges of the morning and the afternoon for their contribution. And yes, of course, the debaters who have prepared and put all the efforts that they still have in themselves even after 3 hours of sleep. Okay, thank you very much, and let's have a